The Fall of Osgiliath. The river ran black with ash. The sky above Osgiliath was no longer blue nor grey, but red, stained with firelight, stretched thin by smoke. Gondor's once great capital stood in silence, its white stones scorched, its bridges crumbled. What had been a beacon of Númenórean pride now stood as a wall against ruin, and ruin had come. Faramir stood on the broken parapets of the western bank, watching shadows ripple on the far shore. The water whispered, choked with the corpses of men and orcs alike. Behind him, only 40 rangers remained, bloodied, bone-weary, and already mourning. The orcs had crossed the river by night. And not just orcs. Uruk-hai, stronger, faster, smarter. They moved like soldiers, not beasts. Their black banners had no sigil, only a white hand smeared like a wound across cloth. Saruman had sent his war into Gondor while Rohan slept. The first push came at dawn. The eastern towers fell in silence. The enemy came by raft, by swimming in armor, by climbing the very ruins Gondor had abandoned. Arrows rained. Stones fell. Faramir's archers held them off for hours, but the Uruks never broke. They advanced. Through fire, Faramir ordered the bridge destroyed. It shattered under flame, but some orcs were already across. They did not run. They fortified. By nightfall, Osgiliath belonged to no one. Inside the western citadel, Captain Madril traced his finger across a blood-stained map. They mean to take the causeway. If they do, Ithilion's lost. Faramir nodded. We hold the riverbank. We hold the city. A younger ranger, barely more than a boy, looked up. Why? There's nothing left. Faramir's eyes burned with quiet steel. There's still Gondor. The next day, the real siege began. Uruks built makeshift bridges. Trolls dragged siege carts. From the ruins came screams and drums, and among them fell beasts circled, winged monsters, that carried Nazgul in silence above the river. One was coming now. Faramir stood alone atop the battlement, wind pulling at his cloak. As the Nazgul dove, he lifted his bow and loosed. The arrow struck true, glancing off armor. The creature screamed and veered away. The men behind him cheered, briefly. Then the catapults roared, the walls shook, fire lit the rooftops. The eastern quarter was gone. Faramir gave the order, fall back to the dome, light the beacon. We hold until Minas Tirith sees us burn. They ran through broken archways and shattered marble, through halls once trod by kings. In the central dome of stars, the last standing monument of old Osgiliath, they made their final stand. 10 rangers, one Lord's son, surrounded. When the Uruks breached the outer courtyard, they did not roar. They marched, shields up, spears. Locked, the rangers met them like ghosts, striking from shadows, vanishing through smoke. Faramir fought with sword and torch, the flames reflecting in the blood on his blade. Madril died first, 3 spears through his chest. He never cried out. The others fell beside him, one by one, until only Faramir stood beneath the shattered dome, surrounded by bodies, his cloak tattered, his sword cracked, and the firelight rising behind him. He turned to the beacon. The torch still burned, and in the distance, across the river, through the red haze, a reply, a flame rising in Minas Tirith. Hope, Faramir smiled, not with joy, but with duty fulfilled. Then darkness swept over the city, and the Nazgul screamed. Later, much later, the Fellowship would stand at the western gates of Osgiliath. They would pass the ruins, see the bridges broken, smell the ash and rot, but they would not know the names. They would not know how long the city stood, or who stood in its last light. Only that the river had run red, and Gondor had not knelt.